Hello, you're listening to Otaku Spirit Animecast. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined here with Chris.
Yo.
Today's episode is a discussion podcast episode where we talk about the news that seems important to us, that should be important to you because it's important to us, and then dive into our community and some great questions from our... Great question. I do that every single time. Great questions. It's a tongue twister for some reason. Answer some great questions from our community members and then say goodbye. We have a lot of interesting news this week. We, of course, had a lot of game shows we can probably talk a little bit about. They had some changes made to Webtoons, censoring all of their platform. That's going to be an interesting thing to discuss. A lot of anime adaptation news that I think is going to be very interesting to dive into. So I forgot to talk about this at the very beginning of the podcast, but for those that don't know, we did do a music podcast episode last week, so it is on exclusively on Patreon because Spotify does not like us having music on the platform anymore, and that's who's currently serving our hosting for it. So we decided to just not have music in our podcast. For music podcast episodes, we're posting them onto Patreon directly. You do not have to sign up for Patreon. You can go there and watch the video. If you're there and you sign up already, yeah, you can go ahead and, support us by Patreon, but it's completely free. There's no paywall. You just have to go to there in order to access it. But how's last week been? Anything exciting? A whirlwind?
Yes.
You had a whirlwind?
Yes.
A tornado?
Something like
Hurricane.
that. Uh-huh.
Okay. Anything else?
No. Not really.
No? Okay. Exciting stuff, Chris. Exciting stuff. Yeah, been a pretty decent week. Of course, we're building up towards the summer season. And I was telling Chris earlier, I've just got I think I'm pretty much done with my list, like my outline and everything like I typically do for the previews. And of course, then I have to take that and go into my top 10 most anticipated list. Then we have to do our entire preview podcast, which will probably be next week. I'm not sure at this moment. Depends on if anything else gets announced. 68 shows. That's including the carryovers from, this
I thought you said they were going to prune it back.
No, I never said that.
You said they were going to prune it back.
I said they're going to fall apart and then it's going to get pruned back, but it's not quite there yet because, again, Crunchyroll is still buying these licenses, which I kind of wonder if that's going to change here soon. Do we talk about the whole changes that Crunchyroll wants to do with royalty?
Yes.
Royalty and stuff like that?
I think we did. I don't know if we talked about it off the...
Essentially, Crunchyroll is wanting to encourage companies to accept a new royalty system where they pay a minimum for the license, but then they give them more if they perform really well on their platform. Essentially, a royalty rather than just a fixed licensing fee. And the idea there is to encourage them to make hit bangers, They want more solo levelings that'll be super successful on a platform, and they're basically saying that we'll give you a bigger cut if it actually does well, encouraging them to make those good shows. And my thought process there was like, I wonder if the minimum that they're going to be paying them is less than typical, and that way they make more money in the end, they save money because these shows probably aren't going to be that successful. Or on the opposite end, is it going to be one of those ones they force it on everybody and you have to be successful if you're going to get some good money from us as a license? It's interesting. Because I think that if they do move to that, either one, it's going to make Netflix and Disney and High Dive want to kind of slide in there and say, hey, we'll still give you that fixed rate. Or is it going to make all these companies finally go, okay, let's stop making 3 shows in a single season under the same studio and let's diversify a little bit. Let's cut it down and work on these one titles that might be actually really good rather than turning things out for the sake of licensing it overseas. That could cause it to come down,
and that goes to what we've been saying before. If they have all the power, and that's it. It sucks, but that's a harsh reality of the entire situation. I like it and I hate it at the same time.
The fixed rates versus the royalty fee.
The royalty thing, I like it and I hate it at the same time. The issue is what I said before. I think they're the ones that are taking all the. I think I was referring to it in the when we were doing the talking about the people that were using Fundrise and Kickstarter back in the day, where they were pretty much putting it all off on the consumer and saying, hey, you buy this ahead of time, we'll buy the license and then we'll remake it. And it was like, at the time I was saying, well, you're who's taking the loss, basically? Who's taking all the risk?
Yeah.
Now it's flipping it on the opposite end, where it's the whole point of this situation is you're making a profit off of something you're taking a risk with. If you corner the entire market into a situation where you're effectively the one that's the picker and chooser, you're the kingmaker, you're not taking a risk anymore.
And I think that's the kind of the nastier side of that, because like I said, when I was doing my video covering it, it's like, on one end, I think this is kind of genius because it's, again, going to force these companies to stop making what I kind of jokingly called it, and it's kind of true, slop. It's like, again, every season it feels like they're just throwing stuff together just for the sake of throwing it together just because they know Crunchyroll will license it. Just like that was that whole discussion about that. I think it was a previous co-owner or co-founder of Gynex where he said like that whole aspect of essentially limiting investments. If it's the investment caps, that's what he's talking about, the investment caps. Or if a Chinese company comes in and says, here's 5 million, make an anime. We like this new anime thing you're doing. Here's 5 million, make an anime. And they go, okay, if we take this money and we make an anime with it, their ownership of the anime will be 100% because we're not going to match him, because they have to match him to have a partial ownership. So what they do is they go, okay, we'll take this and we'll diversify your portfolio to 4 5 shows, and that way, again, the producer in Japan can still have over 50% ownership of the title. That way they get to license it out and they make all the money, most of the money anyways. And the idea there was that it's almost as if they're purposely spreading all this funding that's coming into Japan for producing anime for the sake of making as much stuff as possible, because again, overseas licensing are still happening. They're Disney and Netflix, these companies are just buying up these things. Just keep making them. Just keep churning them out. Keep making them. Do we have a manga? Hey, do you have a manga that's holding up serving as a coaster for your drink? Here, let me see. What is this? Animate it. Like, they just don't care. Make it. Crunchyroll will keep buying it. My argument that I made a while back was Crunchyroll just released their numbers that apparently they're finally profitable. I think apparently they've not been profitable or much profitable, but they're profitable now. And I think a lot of that has to do with them finally kind of having enough subs that it's overtaking how much they're licensing every season. Because I made a whole argument at some point. It was sort of let's chill and put your arguments to where it needs to go. Like if you have criticism of Crunchyroll, make sure it's legit. And then the whole point of that video was to kind of point out the lies and deceptions that anime fans have. And it's to go through and go, okay, everybody says this. Is it really true? And in that video, I went into the idea of, I don't know if it was when I was talking about that they don't pay their translators well enough or their dubbed artists well enough or something like that. And I was going into this idea that it's just because, it was the argument that Crunchyroll is a $1 billion company. I love that one. like Crunchyroll has this bank account that has billions of dollars in it. No, they paid AT&T to buy Crunchyroll. They're a debt company. When you buy a company for that much money, it's a debt company at that point. But anyways, in that whole discussion, I was talking about how, okay, they have millions of subscribers, and you're assuming they're making millions of dollars. Well, no. If you take and calculate how much an episode of an anime costs, and then you basically figure out how many shows they have in a season, and then you tie it by how many weeks are in a month, that's how much they're paying every single month to buy all those licenses for all the shows they have. If they have 40 plus shows in a season, times that by about, let's guess, an episode average $200,000 per episode. So you times how many shows, 40, times $200,000 per week, times by 4 weeks in a month. That's how much every month they're paying into licenses. Now, take that number and divvy it out to how much they're getting from subs. They're getting pretty close to even. They're not making buco's money is the whole point there. So my whole argument was that I think eventually they're going to have to start cutting back. Eventually they're going to go, we have market saturation. We've killed all the competitors. Netflix is not a competitor. Amazon's not a competitor. High Dive? They're not a competitor. Ocean Vale? No. Anybody else? No. We're good. Don't license everything. Only license the big dogs. Look on Mal. Look what everybody's excited for. Just license the top 5. It's not like they're going to sub for us. That's the show everybody's watching. They're just watching nobody's watching Apocalypse Hotel, which is a crime against humanity. Let's not license these shows that have 2,000 people signed up on Mal. They're excited for it. There's no point in that. Now, granted, the opposite to that argument is that they could be going to these companies and saying there's not much stirring for your show. I don't think we need to pay you that much. And eventually, again, the companies are either going to... The whole point is that the license holders eventually going to come to a point where either Crunchyroll doesn't even call them up, and they got this track line that they're going to make it all these shows that Crunchyroll's going to buy up, or Crunchyroll's going to finally come in and say, $20,000 per episode. Wait, you used to give us $200,000 per... No, not anymore. We're good. Do you want the money or no? No? Okay. Later. Have fun with High Dive. High Dive not buying that much. Anyways, that was the whole point of that whole cutting back, and I don't think it's happening. But I mean, my whole argument that I was coming to with that whole 68 shows is like, it's multifaceted. One is like, there's so many good shows, and nobody's gonna watch them all. That's the sad thing. That's what breaks my heart when I'm looking through this list. I'm not like a lot of people where I'm looking at that list and going, another isekai. Another I got kicked from the hero's party. No, I'm thinking, if this is its competition over here, nobody's watching that show. And I told myself, I think when we go to our preview, I'm going to have to fight myself to not make that comment over and over again, because I think I've baited a couple times recently. It looks like an okay show, but no, I can't. I'm not going to have the time for it. I have these other shows. Like I was telling you, I think I have like 28 shows that it's like, I can't not watch these shows. They look so good, or they're returners. They're big returners. M-Dud. Dress Up Darling's coming back. I mean, Call the Night's coming back. Hell yeah, I'm watching those shows. I was telling some people on Discord, it's like, it's the season where anime goes to die, but it's more so it's the season where, I would call it the season where 7 out of 10 shows die. Where it's a show that's a 7 out of 10, which is a really good score. It's a show it's worth a watch, but nobody's going to watch it. There's too much. Especially Chris. Chris is going to suffer.
And that goes back to what I was saying. I mean, at some point, it's got to prune back. We can't, it's unsustainable as it is right now. I mean, there's no way. I mean, with what I do for a living, I'm literally fighting for time. And I hate that, because I mean, I already tried. I'm like, this season, I told Andy at some point, I want to play games. I really badly want to play games. I don't hate anime. I want to play games. I haven't played games in years, and it's like, I'll watch. I'll get home. I already, because of where I work, I'm running late. There's a few people that know what I do for a living, so they understand. I've gotten into a position where I'm a lot more involved in things that are going around that. My life is going into another direction, and so a lot of time is going to be being more invested in that. Anime is, I love anime. Anime is huge. But I'm after a 3 or 4 year binge of just straight anime and work. I kind of want to play some video games, and so even this year when we start doing the reviews, I've been fighting to keep up with them, but I know that everybody's going to be real disappointed in how many shows I've watched this season.
It's gonna be another season of Andrew, stop talking so much. Stop watching all the shows. I mean, that's the sad reality of what I do. Is like,
and there's going to be a point where even Andrew is going to be going, "What? I didn't have time to watch it."
I decided that it was. I don't know if it was last season or the season before then. It was probably fall of last year. I decided at some point, I can't.
Yeah,
it's impossible. It's impossible to watch every show. I mean, there's going to be some people that are going to do it. And that's, all the power to you. But it's gotten to a point where I still give every show like a 5 to 6 episode count, which I think is plenty enough time to say if it's going to be good or not. I still don't like the idea of the 2 to 3 episode rule. It doesn't feel like it. It just doesn't feel like a lot of shows, especially now that we're at a point now where I feel like a lot of shows are kind of designed. they're more true to the source material. Like they do plan that if it's good, it'll get another season. They're more focused to not just sell material, but they're also getting a more focus of an anime franchise. And I think that's a great thing. And I think that comes with that is that a lot of shows don't really get to the point in 3 episodes. They're not trying to get to that point. But yeah, I decided a while back, I can't even this season. I'm dropping so much. And it sucks when I'm dropping shows that I do enjoy. Like, I don't have anything against Atelier Meister, but I just can't justify it. But I think the sad reality for me as a content creator is, yeah, one of it is that idea that back when we had like 30 or 35 shows a season, we loved the idea of being the people that watch everything. Mm-hmm. We're going to give everything a shot. We're going to watch everything. We're going to review every single show. To get to the point now where we have twice as much, and it's like, I hope nobody still has that expectation. Like, we just can't. It's physically impossible unless you don't do anything else. And I think, I think me 70 5
shows?
years ago, I probably could have done that still. You know, I come home from work and just done it. And I wasn't doing content creation, which, like I've said before, what I do on the YouTube, social media, content creation takes vastly more time than my previous job did. And my previous job was on call all the time. I'm spending way more time consuming anime, creating content than I was ever doing my previous. If I want to save time, yeah, I'll go get my other job. If I want to work less, I'd go do my other job. But this is more fulfilling, obviously. I'm sorry, you were saying?
Oh, just the 70 shows works out to 35 hours per week. That's almost a full-time job just to watch all the shows.
You know, I was making an argument last time we talked about that is like, and for my content creation, that's 35 hours. And then add on top of that, again, doing all the outlines, doing the content creation, recording the videos, adding the content, all that kind of stuff. But the sad reality for me really is that as I look forward to another season of like not like excited. I'm not excited about it. I'm excited on an idea that the plus side to having such a oversaturation of shows is that there's going to be something for everybody.
Yeah.
That's always the positive. And like I've said before, it's not like you have to watch every show on that AniCharts list. You don't have to watch every single show. All these shows are not for you, and they're not all Satoshi Kons. They're not all trying to be an art house. Some of it is just your standard goofy show that a kid's going to watch, or your goofy harem show that a guy just wants to watch and goon over. That all stuff is still going to be there.
Are people still expecting Hayao Miyazaki every episode? I mean, really? I mean, at this point, I mean, as many shows as y'all are watching, are you guys still expecting every show to be Hayao Miyazaki?
They're still looking for the next Satoshi Kon. Some still don't believe he's passed away. He's out there somewhere. One of these days. I still think Satoshi Kon's death is the crappiest thing about, like, every single time I think about Satoshi Kon, I'm like, God, I wish he was still around. I want it. Anyways, but yeah, it's just, for my content creation, what sucks is looking at a list like that and really going, you know, I want to cover all this stuff, but there's a limit. And the thing that sucks about it is that I will pick, you know, my weekly shows that I want to cover. And it feels like as it gets more and more broad, there's a two-course effect that I kind of hope happens. One is that, yes, the shows that I want to cover on a weekly basis are what everybody else is drawn to and they're watching it already, and thus it gets a decent coverage and people are enjoying my coverage of it. Or there's an element of maybe possibly that I cover this stuff, people are more encouraged to watch it with me, and then we can make it a watch together experience. Because I think there is a split about, you know, people that watch my content will fall in one of those categories. The sad reality is when it comes down to, yes, with 68 shows plus a season, that a lot of people are just not going to watch the content because, oh, I'm watching number 48. I'm not watching number 49. You're watching 49. I'm not watching that one. It's an oversaturation to the point where it's just splitting up the fandom to the point where just nobody's watching the same shows. There's that kind of opposite effect that I think kind of happens there. That sucks. we're so split. I do like the fact that our community, has got a lot of people in it that watch a lot of shows, but I think for the most part, most people, the first one on Mal, I'm watching that one. Don't care about anything else. And that sucks. Again, because there's a lot of talented creators behind a lot of this stuff. You kind of want them to, because I always have like maybe one show that kind of catches me off guard. Hozuki, Coolheadedness. Hozuki no Doraitetsu. That creator's got a new show coming out.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh cool. I know that was I think it was one that you really like, right?
Yeah.
I didn't keep watching it. It wasn't my.
I bet you you would probably enjoy it a lot.
I think at the time I was pretty like, because it's Araragi's voice, isn't it? I remember that was one of the things that I wanted to watch it.
So.
Yeah.
But it was so steeped in
it's very
culture, very deep in culture folklore references.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that I was missing, and I think that was why I kind of was like, I feel like I'm wasting my time because I feel like I don't, and I think I might get a lot of it more now.
Yeah, that's
what
I was saying. Is I think you would enjoy it a lot more now.
It's crazy though, but that's for next week though. We'll go through our entire. Again, I should have my top 10 most anticipated up this week. The most time-consuming part of my top list is not just I think it's gonna be very difficult to choose my top list. The nice thing is that most of the shows that I'm most excited for are returners, and those won't be in that top 10 list. I'll cover them, but it's making my jokes because I'm terrible at making jokes. So I do have one really good joke. So this is an exclusive to all of the podcast listeners. You get to hear one of my jokes. So you could tell me now if you think it's going to hit or not. Here it is right here. I didn't actually format it properly, so this might sound odd. Let me read it first. Okay, yeah, this is pretty well formatted. From the creator of I Summoned a Succubus and My Stepmom Appeared comes a hit new series called Married Women's Lips Taste Like Canned Chuhai. I think it's called Chuhai. I was so thanks for laughing a little bit. I was so thrown off because
the silly thing is I know the reference that you're talking
Don't
about.
Say you know what show that is. I literally was like,
you're supposed to go. I don't want to know that you watch those shows.
I've probably seen it. We're not prudes here. If you watch Prawn, it's okay. But no, it was funny because no, actually, I don't think I recognized the key art. Not that I always see the key arts, but no, I went to this specific show and I seen the cover art and I was like, oh, that looks like an Anime Festa show. Like every single season, there's an Anime Festa show where it's literally like one of those story driven prawns that are like, I don't know, like 5 minutes long each. Like my favorite of those so far has been probably the undercover. The two undercover agents that were next door in an apartment, and they had to keep acting like they were making out to make it sound like they're a married couple. That was actually a funny one. But no, it looked like one of those key arts. And so I clicked on it, and I'm like, okay, I usually check the directors, the series composition writers, and then I went to go check the creator. That's what I always do. Those three are the main ones that I always focus on. And I clicked on the creator, and I seen, okay, there's another show that they've actually, created. And I clicked on it, and I'm like, okay, what does that mean in English? Oh, okay. It's like this guy. I just imagine this guy going, yeah, just like my favorite anime character, which are succubuses. I want to summon a succubus, and they're like doing this whole ritual, and suddenly out of nowhere, his stepmom appears. Did she turn out to? Was she a stepmom, or did the process turn her into it? Was his stepmom a succubus, or
it was his stepmom?
But was she already a succubus, or did the process?
She was.
Okay, that was kind of what I assumed.
And there was the entire process of him going through this entire.
His stepsister's one too, isn't it?
Huh?
His stepsister's one too, huh?
I don't think I got to that part. But
that's no, second season, Andrew.
he was constantly in this denial, trying to convince himself that the succubus was pretending to be his mom. And then towards the end, he finally realizes that it's his mom. So
she's just like, he'd probably be into that. It's a kink thing.
Yeah.
He'd be totally into the idea that I was a stepmom, so I'm going to role play as it. Anyways.
And then eventually...
I love anime.
And she's of course obsessed with him, so because she's tasted him once. So
When he was like super young, or
no,
okay,
when he summoned her.
oh, she had a quick taste. Okay,
Yeah.
so anyways, that's to come. Wow, bad choice of words. That's next week. Again, I'll do my top 10 this week, and then we'll do probably previews if everything turns out well next week, and then I'll be getting ready for reviews. Well, that's not all. That's not all. I think that's everything that was pre-show stuff. Did you watch any of the games? You were just speaking of how you really badly want to play games. Did you watch any of the game show stuff this week? Like the not E3 this week?
Just the what somebody part of somebody's react to it at some point.
Somebody's react.
Yeah, but I didn't actually watch any. No.
I actually seen more in this. For some, it's one of those things where it's so funny that every single year I'll watch all these damn shows, and it's like every single time, most of it I don't really care about. It's just more of a social thing. Like a lot of the people that I talk to on a regular basis, we'll just get in a chat DMs and we'll just kind of talk about what's kind of popping up on the screen. I've seen a lot more this year than I did last year. That was actually interesting, and that was Tactics, the Tactics upgrade, which was pretty cool.
Okay.
Like I didn't expect them to do like a full-on remake of Tactics ever, because that would just be like, unfortunately, an undertaking that wouldn't yield much money. The only reason that 7 got a remake is because it's a massive property. Tactics, no. I just kind of wanted them to do like a Octopath Traveler style kind of remake of it with that style. They did sort of. It's not necessarily an up-res. It does look like they did redo the art quite a bit, because I mean, if you look at the old pixelated version from back in the day, you can't just up-res that and filter it. So it does look like they did redo a lot of these sprites, but I kind of wish they made the sprites a little more detailed and a lot more sharper, because they do kind of look a little blurry, which that kind of sucks. But I mean, they upgrade it with, widescreen. You can still use the old classic version of it, so if you like the old style, you can keep it. But they did full voiceover lines too.
Oh yeah,
that was kind of surprising. Hopefully the whole game is voiceover, and it's not going to be one of those things where it's only whenever the main characters are talking, and then other times it's not.
Did they release the new remake of Bravely Default yet?
What?
Did they release the remake of Bravely Default yet?
Why would they remake Bravely Default?
Yeah, that's
not
very final or something like that. It's a remake.
Why would they remake it? It's not that old. That was a 3DS game. Why would they remake it? I know that they're doing a re-release of it on like Switch and stuff.
Okay,
but I don't think they're remaking it.
If you want to call it a re-release, then that's fine.
But I don't think so, because I think that was the one that was announced. Was that the was that the Switch? The last Nintendo Direct.
Okay,
so I don't think it'd be out yet. It was the one that tricked everybody out, because it looked like it was going to be Final Fantasy IX, and everybody got mad. It was like it showed that shot of her in that white dress in the middle of the room, and I should have recognized it, because I played Bravely Default. And yeah, everybody's flipping out, because everybody's waiting for a FF9 remake, or a HD upgrade or whatever. So that caught everybody off guard. Other than that, oh my gosh, dude, the worst kept secret was Persona 4 getting a remastering, basically, like an upgraded version of it, not just HD, because they've already done that with the Persona 4 Gold and whatever. And so they had finally at, I don't know if it was all these, I don't know which one compliment was at. Anyways, suddenly out of nowhere, you see this shot with all the TVs, piled up in the middle of the room, and everybody obviously going, there it is. Finally, the worst kept secret, Persona 4 is, being revived or whatever. And then it cuts to him in third person running out of the shrine and down the street. Now, if you've played those games, Persona 4, have you ever played it? Mm-mm. It's set camera. So your character is running towards this camera, kind of like, Resident Evil style. So they've made it to where you're basically free roaming the town now. That's all we know. Because he literally runs out of the shrine and then runs down the street, and that's it. That's the trailer. That's the reveal, is him running for 3 seconds. And then Persona 4 Revival something Worst, not a bad title, but not a great title. Wow, thanks. That was the worst reveal trailer ever. Look at, you can run down a street now. What I was telling somebody is like, that's the worst reveal trailer for anybody that is not a massive fan. All the massive that seemed like a trailer for just massive fans that are gonna go, yeah, it's actually happening. Yeah. They don't care what's on the screen. They're literally not watching. They're screaming and going, yeah, it's happening, woo! And then they might come back later on and go, frame by frame check it for anything that's, you might see a Easter egg.
All those secret Easter eggs.
Well, I mean, a good example is the Marvel's Token Soul Fighter, where the hell that stupid game name is called, from Arc Systems Works. They're doing a Marvel fighter. Maximilian, dude, who's like a massive fighting game fan, literally, I think he's had 2 full streams of just watching this trailer over and over again because he's super excited for that game. So yeah, the massive fans are going to sit there and pick it apart. But that was a dumb trailer. Resident Evil 9. I don't know. Because it looks like they're going back to Raccoon City.
Oh, really?
Post Boom Boom. But I don't know if it's a Resident Evil game or if it's going to be it's one of those things where I seen the trailer and I'm going, cool, we're going back to Raccoon City. Raccoon City's like nostalgia for me because I love Resident Evil 2. But like, everybody's now starting to make me think that it's going to be an extraction shooter, and I'm like, please don't be an extraction shooter. Please don't be Resident Evil Outbreak or where the hell that stupid game is. That's like a multiplayer, I don't know, hero shooter, dumb survival game. Just make it a single player game where you go back to Raccoon City. But I'm hoping it's not going to be a first person.
I went and bought the entire series that was available on Steam a while back. Still haven't played them.
Speaking of how Chris badly wants to play video games, yeah,
I got all the Disgaeas too. Haven't played them.
No, Disgaeas are a commitment.
Yeah,
like I don't have any desire to buy another Disgaea because I just know I would never be able to put that time into those. Like that's even thinking about doing Tactics again. Tactics, you have a speed up button on Tactics, by the way, which Disgaea does too. But like the Tactics game, I can see being a massive time sink. Disgaea games that was no life in. Like back when I played those games, it was no life in. For those that have never played a Disgaea game, you have your regular story, and then you have which has all its maps. That's where it has all the maps and everything. And here's the thing: as you're leveling up and you're going through the storyline, you can recruit people, level them up, build up different classes and everything like that. And then you're like, okay, now I need equipment, and you're putting on boots and you're putting on weapons and everything like that. And then you're going, man, I need to upgrade my weapons. Now you go into the worlds of the items. Every item you literally can jump into, and they have their own levels. And you have to go down those levels of constant levels of getting more difficulty and harder bosses just to level up the equipment. Boots, weapon, armor, every single one of them. Oh, by the way, you want a potion to be a little bit stronger? Go into that world too. it's just that stuff nuts, dude.
Oh, and that's
they want you to break that game.
Yeah, Andrew is just scratching the surface. You have character levels or worlds. You can dig into your characters. You can give them all kinds of extra stats that way. You can. It's just and by the way, you can make all the rules of the game change by going through the what was it, the
you
class,
can break all the rules. There's like literally different rules that you can break with it. It's crazy. Again, that was what was so fun about Disgaea was that was a game that they wanted you to break it. Mm-hmm. They want the commercials were literally like 99999 billion damage. They don't care. The numbers literally can't fit on the screen. They're that high. Yeah, that was a crazy game. What were we talking about? Oh, you were buying a bunch of games. But no, Resident Evil 9, I hope it is third person again. I hope it is Raccoon City. I hope it is single player. I don't care for another multiplayer game. I mean, I don't know if they'll will. The big fear that I have is at the end of the trailer when they announced it, they said something about like the cinematic explosive universe or something like that, or cinematic explosive experience. I don't know if they were referenced in the TV series they want to do. If they're talking about Resident Evil 9, that gives me fears they're going to go back to Resident Evil 6 type stuff again, where it's like all boom booms and action packed run through this. I think they've learned their lesson and they won't do that again. But I wouldn't put past them to shoot themselves in the foot again. I mean, these companies just sometimes somebody replaces somebody at the heads and they say, let's make a Call of Duty. And that's what happened with Resident Evil 6. They wanted a Call of Duty. Technically, it started with 5, but anyways, Pragmata. They showed Pragmata again. Apparently, Pragmata's still alive. The AI Dotaru game. I don't know if you've ever seen that footage. They announced it like, I think it was the first showcases for PS5. I think it was when they showed Pragmata. It's like, think like, not Dead Space like horror, but like that kind of style where you have the guy in the suit and he has his little weapon and everything. And then he's got like this girl that's always like on his back, standing on like some little footrest on his belt or something like that. And she's doing like crazy hacking stuff at the same time because she's like some AI. But yeah, they announced it a long time ago and then they did like 2 delays on it. And finally, they're saying 2026, I think. Finally. But that's Pragmatic, like the biggest. I think of like every showcase so far, besides Marvel's Token, which apparently literally triggered the entire fighting game sphere because everybody's going. Either they're laughing about the fact that Arc System Works stole the Marvels versus Capcom, or the Marvel side of Marvel versus Capcom from Capcom. So literally like a bunch of pictures where like you have, you know, Marvel and Arc System Works over here kissing, and then behind the corner of the building there's Capcom crying because they just got basically their boyfriend stole away from them. And then you have like all the people that are literally just furious that this wasn't a Marvel versus Capcom game. It's just Marvel's. Now it's Soul Fighters, so there's a possibility that a lot of people are speculating they can end up bringing in other characters, like from, you know, Arc System Works properties or something like that. But I think of all of the outrage that I've seen in my circles, and this tells you a lot about my circles and social media and whatnot, the algorithm feeding me. I haven't actually looked into it, but apparently Pragmata has been like causing a meltdown in the lolicon sphere. Like some people are like, you know, look at the AI lolly machine's feet or whatever, and then you have other people that are literally saying that that's not a lolly character, that's a child or whatever. It's like I don't even want to know. It's like I just seen somebody literally say this is causing a meltdown in the lolly sphere, and I'm like, the lolicon sphere, and I'm like, that's all I need to know. I'll chuckle and go about my business. But it's one of those ones where it's like, yeah, I can see that happening. Yeah, I can see that happening. Somebody was pointing out, it was Adrian or something. Somebody was pointing out that like literally, if you look at the most like viewed segment of the trailer, of course they got the mouse over the. You know how typically in like the most viewed area of the video, it does like a little graph thing. Yeah. Where it'll kind of arc up, and the idea there is that, you know, as you get to a certain point, you're gonna have more viewership starting at that point, and so they have to find the spot in this one little triangle that's closest to, of course, showing her feet, and it's like. You guys are stretching it. You guys are stretching it. That was literally where they started talking in the freaking trailer. Anyways, I'm excited for Pragmata though. Like when I first seen the trailers for it, it looked really cool. I like the idea of like, again, robot Dotaru that you have to escape from AI hell from. Like apparently like all the AIs are turning on people, which is a super, like a very old story, but it looks cool. It's kind of a little bit of a. It looks a little bit like again like a Lost Planet, a little bit of Dead Space kind of ish, just a lot more visually appealing, very bright and everything. It's cool.
And you can shepherd goats or something, supposedly.
Didn't see that part, but cool. Cool. Somebody
is releasing Shepherdling or something like that.
Oh, a different game.
Yeah, they apparently you're going to move a bunch of goats or sheep or something somewhere. It looked like it was going to be one of those atmospherical type games.
Oh, my brain was going to like physics game, like Goat Sim and stuff like that, where it goes haywire very quickly when they hit like a stick or something like that. Suddenly the physics.
Yeah.
And everybody laughs.
It's one of those atmospherical ones.
I can't do Atmo ones. Atmo games just nah. I did the Journey game because I kept hearing people talk about it, and I played. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of pretty every now and then, but no, it's just not me. I even tried Flowers, whatever that was, for a while. Everybody was going gaga about Flowers.
I did Flowers for about 5 seconds. I got bored real quick.
Good on you guys. It's kind of like a Yashike for video game players.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can see if you super stressed, but my Yashike for video game is something where I blast something.
Yeah, my Yashike is Minecraft. That's about it.
That is not Minecraft is not relaxing for me. If I get into a game of Minecraft, my brain's spinning into a million things I want to create, how to create it, where I would start, what materials I need. That is not a Yashike game. If you think that's a Yashike, I think it is sort of a Yashike if you're just trying to brain dump. Because I think there's so much stuff in Minecraft that you have to think about.
Yeah.
Similar to other games like that, like crafting in games, stuff like yeah, that's sort of you're forcing your brain not to think about anything else because you have too much stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be relaxing, I guess.
To me, it is.
Because the stuff you're thinking about doesn't stress you out. Unless you have some sort of time limit.
But I have to have the creepers turned off. I just have to.
That's what I was saying. Unless you have a time limit. If you're doing like a survival mode or something like that, where again you have so many days or something. Anyway. Silent Hill though.
I did see that.
I'm actually very excited for the new Silent Hill. And you know why?
I have not. I haven't played any of them. So
I played 1. I played a bit of 2. I never beat 2. But there's a reason why I'm super excited for F specifically.
I just know that it's been
ratings.
wanted. It's been wanted for forever. So I'm very aware of it.
The big excitement that I've seen so far is the fact that the ratings are super high on that game. They apparently are not holding stuff back. It's going to be very offensive, and I'm like, yes, I want a game. It looks very. I'm assuming a lot of that rating is due to the fact that it's going to be dealing with like really horrible bullying. It's got a young girl that's involved with it, obviously from school, wearing a school outfit, whatnot. I think it's going to be involved with a lot of stuff about bullying and possibly self-harm and stuff like that. So I think that's why the rating's so high, which is fine because that if you want to get into that kind of stuff and really get into the psyche of characters, I think that's going to probably tell a really horrific and interesting story. So again, like I said, yes. Yeah, the only thing holding me back is that it's got that Silent Hill 2 combat system stuff, which is I'm like, we'll see. I think at some point she gets some crazy long spear thing, but for the most part, it's the whole like metal pipe, boof, boof, boof thing, and it's like, it's supposed to be. Some would argue it's supposed to be like the survival horror jank that they're supposed to have. Like it's supposed to feel clunky, that way you're afraid of attacking, but it's like, I can swing better. I'm not like a physically fit person, but I can swing a pipe better than that. I don't do this whole thing. We'll see though. It looks super interesting. I'm pumped for it. I think it's coming out September, sometime like this year, right?
Oh really?
I guess sometime it's like this year. I'm pumped for it. I think that's all the games that I seen that I was very interested in. I'm still waiting to see if I can get a hold of a Switch 2. Because I've been hearing a lot of positive things about that.
Yeah, I didn't get my invite, so I'm eventually going to just wait for it to pop up at some point and grab it.
I thought about going down to a store and checking on a shelf, but I'm like, I'm just too lazy. I want it to come to me. But like I said before, I'm not like pressed for it.
Yeah,
it looks good. Like the Mario
I just
Kart
wanted.
looks good.
I just. In a way, I just wanted it on day one. I just wanted it.
There's a social aspect, a FOMO social aspect. Like you want to be a part of something. I see that. But yeah, Mario Kart looks really good. Mario Kart actually looks really good, and I've heard a lot of good things about old Switch 1 games. Even games that like you don't upgrade, they're just whereas before they struggled to meet cap, now are capped. Or now reaching a cap or whatever. So I'm like, that actually sounds really good. Plus I wanted somewhere to play my Xenoblade Chronicles X on. I think I have to play on there. Because I don't know if it had any problems on the original Switch. I haven't got it yet though. The game I was harping at them. Yes, I know the game that Andrew has been harping for them to put on the Switch for the longest time so he can finally retire his Wii U was Xenoblade Chronicles X, the last game that he had on that system. I can finally retire that Wii U. And yes, the game comes out and Andrew forgot to order it and he's yet to buy it. He's a hypocrite. You call for something you don't surprise. Yeah, the whole idea where you harp for something that you brought to a system and then you don't buy it. You don't support it. So it's literally like I've been telling them to do it and then just, I don't pay up.
I don't know that that's hypocrite, but...
Well, I mean, I do every now and then criticize people for harping that they want something and then when it happens, they don't support it. Like they want these games companies to do this or that and then they don't give money.
Okay, I guess
they don't back with their buck.
Kind of would be hypocrite.
Yes. I'm doing what I could criticize people for doing. The extra context. Speaking of games, though, Hideo Kojima, old Metal Gear Solid boy, no longer with a Konami guy, run off to make his own studio where he literally hires his boy, what was his name, Norman Reedus, to make Death Stranding, and then make some crazy FedEx game that I badly want to play, but I don't want to play because I don't want to freaking be a FedEx driver in another world. Like, so, it's like talking about all these damn games that are coming out, like, you know, bus similars and stuff like that. And then, yeah, this is one of those games where it's like, do I really want to play a game where I'm hauling materials around? But anyways, he apparently, after making Death Stranding 1 and then making Death Stranding 2, which is soon to come out, which is going to feature... Everybody see... Oh, no, your head's in the way. Featuring Pecora. Pecora is going to be in the Death Stranding 2, apparently.
Oh, yeah?
He's going to make He's also making a film of it, apparently. And then he's also hinted to... who was he talking to? He was talking to a company about... Or interviewing a company talking about the film coming up. And he also noted that he's going to make an animated work as well of Death Stranding. Now, he didn't specify that it's going to be anime. But he is saying that he wants to make an animation. I don't know. It seems like he gushes so much about Liquid Coil. I don't see it. I can't see it being with anybody else besides A1 Pictures. Like, he probably has some friends with A1 Pictures. Not that I'm saying that he likes Liquid Coil because he has a friend with A1 Pictures. But I think they probably like him. I can honestly say with how much he got people hyped about Liquid Coil, I probably could say that they probably like him or are contacting him. Or if not, they're probably contacting him now and saying, yeah, we want to do your work. Yeah, he gets the Liquid Coil character designers to make his characters in the game too, or the show too. But yeah, that sounds cool though, because going back to what I was talking about earlier, every time I see the story of and some of the segments of Death Stranding, I badly want to play it. It's just every time I go to click the buy button, it's even when it's on sale, like right when I get to the buy button, I get a mental image flash before my eyes of a guy with a backpack of a bunch of stuff tripping over a rock and it falling down. And it's like that doesn't sound doesn't sound fun to me. I don't want to carry packages around. I
don't know. Everybody has always said that that's the ultimate walking simulator. So I don't know what is this game about. I still to this day don't know. I have not cared to go and look into it enough. But it's one of those things that I know Hideo Kojima is a brilliant games designer. So
the story stuff looks trippy as hell. Crazy babies crying inside of backpacks on their bellies and alternate dimensional worlds where like goo people appear above the oily water. It's weird. His villain characters are always freaking weird. They're like a mixture between like hard rock bands, Marilyn Manson, Michael Jackson, and Kiss at the same time. There's like this weird spawn of confusion. It's like I am confusion. I'm spawning. Anyways, but yeah, to that point, even though I don't want to play the game. I want to experience the story. So there's a side of me that's like, okay, cool. They animate the whole story. That way I don't have to watch. I don't have to play the game. I I do really badly want to play 2, and I'm hoping that 2 will be better and less running around everywhere. They'll probably still have the running around everywhere. The whole concept there is that he's like this. I think he's this guy that's, because like everybody in this dystopian future are like separated from each other and segregated each other. He's sort of helping create channels of communication between people. And so it's like you running into these capsules where people live inside of, and they just don't socialize with each other. I don't know. It was some weird statement about people's communication and stuff. He likes getting very political and socially tied up with his stories. Politics and games. Jeez.
Everybody has something to say.
Even Hideo Kojima, after getting fired from his company, or at least leaving his company.
And yet nobody wants to listen.
Shoot, they had a lot of trailers for freaking Metal Gear Solid 3 again, Snake Eater. Like, how many times are they going to re-HD that game? I've never gotten past the first part of that game.
Oh, Snake Eater?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I got very far in that one. I did the first 2, but I never did really get into that one.
Oh yeah, I've beat literally all of them except for 3. And 3 is supposed to be the best. That's the craziest thing. Like, everybody, if you ask them like the best Metal Gear, it's like they're all Snake Eater. This is the best, craziest thing ever. Never beat it. Never got past like the first section. I just got sick of it so fast. It was a whole like eating thing, everything.
Yeah, they got too hardcore with the survival aspect.
Yeah. And I probably didn't have to focus on that too much, but I did. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, that's happening. Hideo Kojima might actually make an anime. Again, we don't know. We don't know exactly what the format's going to be or who's going to make it. What else? What else to have in my news here? Oh yeah, Katakawa said that the 4th season of ReZero is going to be in 2026. I want to say they were hinting at that, weren't they? I know they immediately announced the 4th season was coming, which was like cool. I mean, we kind of assumed it was coming. I think a lot of this leakers were claiming that it was supposed to be like, you know, more episodes were supposed to be this season, and it was delayed. So it could be that they were already cooking it, and they're almost done. Either way, I'm excited that it's going to be 2026. Hopefully they're giving it plenty of time to cook, because I like my ReZeros. That's cool. That's cool. Love Live's getting a movie, an entirely 3D CGI movie. I can't have the audio on, Chris. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Love Live is getting a 3D anime film, Hasuno Sora Girls School Idol Club project, featuring the girls from Link Like Love Live smartphone game. My gosh, the names. I have to say, I seen this coming. I'm surprised they I don't think they've done a full CGI Love Live yet, but I would assume this would have happened earlier, because they're getting so good with their CGI that I would assume that eventually they would just do full CGI. I mean, that's what they did with Bang Dream. It's like the first season was like 2D except for the performances, and then when they did the next season, they just went like full CGI.
I don't know. They might actually pull it off, because they've got enough of a blur effect that's you almost can't tell that that's CGI, but it's only one screen really, so I don't know.
Yeah, like briefly when she's turning, you can see it, but then when it goes like slow motion, it's like, yeah, that's actually really good. But again, I was kind of making that comment about Love Live and their performances in general. Is like they've gotten it so good at this point where their performances don't really look like ugh anymore. Like the first Love Live, it was like, yeah, that's got that CGI look to it. It's a great performance and everything, but they've definitely gotten their CGI to the point where it's not bothering anymore. I mean, Sunrise in general, which I'm assuming this is going to be Sunrise, in general has gotten their CGI to a very good point. So it was an inevitability. I'm very curious. I know that in the past when I've discussed Love Live with like super Love Live fans, like people that legit, like any news that comes out, like a stage performer or something like that, they're getting photos from it and stuff like that, like hyper fans. in my discussions in the past with them, they have been very positive on the performances and never really kind of criticized the CGI. I'd be curious from the big Love Live fans if a full CGI Love Live is okay with them. Like if this is a deal breaker or if it's going to be something they're positive about. Because they're very clear on this one with the announcements. Like if you look at their... I looked at the announcement tweet that they put out, and they're very clear. 3D CGI movie. Like they're very clear that it's going to be 3D. It's not like you'll figure it out. It's that, obviously you see the trailer, it's CGI. They're not keeping it a secret. And that might be because it's going to be a film and not a TV series, and they don't want people to have a wrong expectations going into theaters. But it seems pretty bold that they're just coming out and saying it, like being very clear this is a 3D CGI show, rather than saying it's a Love Live show and you'll just find out when you get there and nobody's going to care. You get what I'm saying? It seems odd to say that specifically.
No, I think that they're using it as a selling point. I don't think that they're giving hints. Hey, be aware that we're doing this. I mean, if fully
CGI.
Yeah, now we're fully CGI now. Because to me it seems like that would be the natural inclination of this is what we do on the game. Now we finally got it to where we feel comfortable with making a movie based on around that.
Well, I mean, it's not like they didn't have the technology to do it before. I don't know why it would be this is a new successful thing that we pulled off.
I don't think that they've ever pulled it off right. They've gotten those the music things. I mean, you and me both have pointed out sometimes they look good, sometimes they don't.
I mean, I would make the argument that it's not like, yeah, you can get some shows that are made in CGI where it's like, oh yeah, they put no effort in this. Like, I mean, I can look at something like...
I think Love Live was the one that was usually the better of the two, isn't it? Or was it the...
Compared to who?
Who's their main competitor?
I mean, Bang Dream does CGI.
No, not
I mean, literally everybody does CGI performances.
The one that always has the peach on producer. There's Love Live.
Cinderella?
Cinderella.
Not
Girl.
Cinderella,
No,
Idolmaster.
Idolmaster. And Idolmaster usually is the one out of the two.
Have they ever done?
Love Live is usually the better of the two.
A lot of CGI performances.
Huh?
Cinderella typically, I mean, the ones that I've watched, Cinderella Girls is 2D.
Yeah.
They did do a full CGI show here recently. But, yeah, like Cinderella Girls specifically wasn't CGI. It's kind of the nice thing about it. And then kind of a little plus there. Yeah, even Uma Musume, pretty derby. She doesn't do CGI. They draw whenever she does her performances. Anyways, it's like a selling point now is to do fully 2D drawn. It's like the whole like mecha thing where suddenly out of nowhere they come out and say fully 2D drawn mecha show. I'm like, that's so sad. That's an advertisement. We won't use CGI for our mecha. Anyways, let's get to the depressing news. I talked about it at the very beginning of the podcast, so it would be bad if I didn't cover it. But and I don't know the full context, and apparently some of this stuff is kind of lost in translation a bit. But looking at how Anime News Network has reported, they said that Naver Webtoon has announced that they will be implementing a new guideline to prevent discriminatory or offensive materials falling backlash against its Webtoon Otherworldly, following the backlash of the Webtoon Otherworldly Pong Pong Man. The term Pong Pong Man carries a misogynistic connotations in South Korea. Pong Pong is widely used slang term for dishwashing detergent, and in this context, it refers to a woman with a so-called promiscuous past who hides it and ends up with a kind and innocent man. The idea is when the man cleanses the woman, much like detergent. This derogatory implication made the title of the webtoon Otherworldly Pong Pong Man controversial from the start, drawing strong backlash. The webtoons has passed the first round of public contest in the webtoon itself had passed the first round of public contest in October 2024 before being pulled amid public outrage. Now, I've heard somewhere else that has claimed that the statement is a gang attack female woman, female idea, the R word, males group attacking a woman. So I'm going with, again, this is what ANN is saying that it's apparently supposed to mean, the idea of cleansing a woman, which would technically fit the misogynistic aspect, but also the gang R-ing would also do the same thing. So either way, the whole idea here is this Pong Pong Man webtoon was too much. For those who don't know what Webtoon is, I think their biggest one was Tower of God, right? That's pretty much like their biggest title. Webtoons? Have you ever used Webtoons?
I didn't know that they did that.
Oh, there you go. Apparently I'm wrong. It might be it might be on there. It's just a Korean comic platform. Anyways, here's where we get into like an area where I'm like, I think this is it for Webtoons. I'm gonna personally say I think this is kind of it for Webtoons. Now, I do understand like what they're sort of having to deal with here. If there was this massive outrage, apparently this, from what I've researched into it, it does seem like this was a very big like boycott that was happening with them. But I think the sort of response to it, I think, might end up killing the platform in return. Their updated guidelines constitutes inappropriate content, including content that promotes or justifies discrimination or violence based on race, nationality, region, age, disability, gender, or sexual orientation, religion, occupation, or illness. Use of hate symbols out of context, supportive, satirical, or glorified depictions of traumatic events experienced by individuals, and graphic depictions of real-life tragedies that may disturb readers. That sounds like everything that will be on that platform in the future will be the most boring stuff ever.
Yeah.
Because that literally is anything that might offend somebody where it's not allowed. I don't know how... Shoot, Tower of God had racism in it, didn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, like bad. Like my favorite character in that show, in that one scene, they were very nasty against their race. Tower of God has to come off of there. That's got racism in it. I don't think this now, to be fair, this is their guidelines, and they will pick and choose when they reinforce it, and they might just be making this guideline so they can say, well, once somebody's outraged about something being a webtoon, we'll go, okay, well, we said it right here, so we have to take you down, even though we allow it to be on the platform. There could be an element here where this is sort of a way of covering their butts in case something pops up on there that they do want to slap down. But again, and this could be lost in translation as well. Let's keep that in mind. This is the guideline as translated. But if this is how if this is true, I would assume that there's not going to be much on that platform anymore. And again, a lot of it's going to be very, very, what's the best term to say? Bland. Yeah. It's going to be some bland stuff. Like you're not really putting anything that's very thought-provoking, difficult to really stomach. You might as well get rid of all of your villain characters, because villain characters are typically driven by a lot of these things in ways that are, again, uncomfortable, that makes them villains. So don't put Mushoku Tensei not going to be on Webtoons anytime soon. Nothing really is going to be on it. ReZero couldn't be on there. Any of my favorite stories could not be on that because of that.
No, basically they bent the knee.
Which is interesting because it's seemingly a lot of the outrage that I've seen was Koreans. This is an outside force. This is an inside force. Now it could be an inside force that was driven by, Western sensitivities and stuff like that. They're are ingraining themselves in there. And if that's the case, you guys got to correct course. I think in the West that a lot of that has been correct course, but I don't think if that's the case, then Korea has really correct course yet. I think a lot of these other places that are kind of adopting that mindset, you're going to go through the same problems that comic book industry and stuff went through. And if you don't correct course now, you're going to fall apart very, very quickly. I don't know. Again, when I read that, it's kind of one of those areas of like, it's difficult to talk about just because, again, a lot of this stuff might be lost in translation. This is going to be a lot of arguments that are happening in Korea itself and their way of seeing a lot of these sensitivities. But I will just say that if that is what they're correcting it to, that platform's going to die. Because if they actually enforce this, there's going to be nothing interesting on that platform. I wouldn't even bother. Not that I'm bothering already, so it's not like they're losing me as a reader. I thought about reading Tower of God on there, if it is on there. Chris got me questioning now. Where to read Tower of God? Webtoon. There you go. It's on. Okay. I'm not crazy. It's right there. And you shut up, Navi. Webtoons. Where do I report it? Is there a report button somewhere, Chris?
Are you gonna report it?
I gotta report Tower of God. It's got racism in it. It's got racism. Who was the character that I liked? So I can give people a character so they can tell me that I'm wrong. I seen the.
You better hand it to me, otherwise it's gonna go off on you again.
You can't use your watch. What's the point of your watch?
This is a different type of watch than your watch.
It's not an Apple?
No.
Oh gosh, why do you have it then? Ew, you have one of those Walmart watches?
No.
I'm joking.
Yours
is probably more expensive than mine.
It's a Google Watch.
Ew, why don't you have an Android phone then?
I know, right? Thought about it for a split second. But I don't like Google's setup.
Apparently you do because you have a watch.
And the only reason it's a Google Watch is because they bought them out because everybody's buying everybody else out.
Anak Jihad was my favorite character. And again, I'm pretty darn sure they were extremely racist of her. Demi Princess, because of her diluted jihad blood, she used to possess 2 of the 13-month series at one point. And maybe it's because she was half-blood. I mean, it's probably going to come down with those technicalities where it's like, it's not necessarily that it's racist. It's just more of a fact that she's a half-blood. But if you think, again, that's that whole idea of like, but you don't realize that is, right? Like, typically with the idea of somebody being half-blood, they are discriminated by both races of human and demon. It is their race, mixed race that they hate. And that is technically one of the worst racisms out there is mixed blood.
Mixed blood.
Because again, you are hated by both sides. It is some I've seen it, and it is some of the worst stuff.
Because you're neither accepted by either race or you're not like shunned by both races. So it's this weird middle ground that they just end up being the worst.
The worst. Anyway, I'll figure out where I can report them later on, but I'll make sure that I report Webtoons.
You're a good little you're a good little cog in the machine.
That that Tower of God's on their platform still, and it's got racism in it. It's got a lot of violence too. It's got a lot of violence in it. What else was in there? And yeah, it was justifying it.
Wait, out of curiosity,
dude, promotes justifying discrimination over age. How many stories has somebody make a joke of some old man?
Yeah. I got a weird question for you. Isn't most violence started by hatred?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're Goku and for whatever reason he loves everybody he fights with. All other violence is considered started by hatred. So hate-filled content could be justified by that violence, right? So pretty much anything, if there's a fist that's thrown anywhere, isn't that technically hate-filled content?
Yes.
So all of your shonens have to be pulled off of Webtoon. Period.
Get him out. Get him out. It's no longer appropriate. Anyways,
and if they say you evil person, that's technically controversial. So
a train versials. But yeah, a new trailer was released for Vampire Chans Can't Suck Right. What is this synopsis? A game is set to premiere in 2020. What? Anyways, the concept of vampires Chan can't suck right. Says the apparently this guy gets a new mysterious dark vampire coming to her class as a classmate into his new class. The truth is that while she may be one, if not most mythical bloodsuckers, she doesn't really live up to the hype. She is short, clumsy, and can't even suck blood properly. So her classmate discovers her little drinking problem. He can't help but lend a hand. Can he nurse Luna from the small, timid animal she is to a fearsome creature of the night? Yeah, I was kind of curious. I think when we first heard about this adaptation, I was kind of curious what it would end up.
I think this is the one that we were talking about. Chibi vampire.
Yeah, she has that backwards problem. She flows backwards. But yeah, I was kind of curious if it's going to be turning one of those things like if she just doesn't hit the veins. She's biting.
She turns into a lolly
and he's
a little itty bitty thing.
Yeah, he's having to like bandage himself up, so she's breaking skin. It's just, is she not hitting the veins? I'm guessing it's that she's not hitting the veins right. But yeah, it could be
but
that
she does it
small.
cutely. She does it cutely though.
It does mention the fact that she's like getting smaller, so that might be the fact that she's losing her powers. But maybe she gets even more small when she goes to bite, and that makes it to where she can't bite all the way. It just becomes teething, basically. But yeah, I immediately thought of like Interview with Monster Goals, like the whole like nom 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 thing, teething that she did in that show. She's cute. Yeah, she's definitely cute. I would definitely let her practice sucking blood on my arm if she wanted to. But yeah, that's Vampires Chan Can't Suck Right. I think they're titling it Little Miss Vampire Can't Suck Right. I guess Vampire Chan doesn't work very well. Anyways, we shall see. We shall see. Apparently, Kaiju number 8 is listed as completing in 2 chapters. So fans of Kaiju number 8, Shueisha on Shonen Jump Plus has announced that 2 more chapters, and it's done. Which, from what I'm hearing, some people apparently this last fight has taken a while. So apparently the people are pretty ready for it to finish its climactic battle. So cool stuff there. Speaking of the whole washroom thingy, laundry soap. Was it dish soap? Dish soaping? That's kind of a bad joke. I'm going to shut up. HappyNet has announced that Wash It Away manga is getting an anime adaptation in 2026 with an endearing protagonist and luscious art. That seaside slice of life story offers tranquil in the most chaos of the modern world. For 2 years, Wakana Kinmei has run a laundry service in the seaside resort town of Atami, where she's built a fulfilling life, making friends with the locals that visit the hot springs. Although Wakana has no knowledge of her own past, her cleaning services safeguard memories imbued in customers' precious items. That synopsis sounds weird. Did you get anything from that synopsis? It's one of those synopses when I'm reading, I'm like, I feel like I'm having a stroke. So she's basically just washing clothes in this little remote town, I guess. Let me double check to see if there's a better synopsis somewhere else. With an endearing protagonist and luscious art, this seaside slice of life story offers tranquility in the chaos of the modern. That's literally how it's wrote. Okay. It just sounds super pretentious while at the same time not saying anything. That's the problem that I'm having. It feels like I'm talking a lot but not saying anything.
It's an Iyashikei about a girl that cleans clothes. Get over it. It just so happens that it's in a seaside town.
Yes. Because it's... I was going to do the joke. No. Don't do the joke. Don't do the joke. So yeah, that's cool. I'm sure that'll be a very Iyashikei, like Chris says. I'm looking forward to it. What else? A trailer was released to announce a film adaptation of Whoever Steals This Book novel, set to premiere in 2026. Mifuyu is a high school student living with a large collection of books left by her great-grandfather, the vast library known as Mikura Hall. Although her father is current caretaker, Mifuru herself doesn't share her family's passion for literature, but when several books are stolen from the library, triggering an ancient curse, the town is transformed according to the various stories, and the only way to put things right is for Mifuru to catch the thief with the help of a mysterious girl named Mashiro. Mifuru sets out on an adventure through the different story worlds. So she doesn't like books, but she's going to be forced to read them anyways. I bet it's a curse made by her grandfather.
And her friend is a cat girl. So...
yeah, I think I seen that, and I think that's why I grabbed it, because I figured Chris would like the kimono Mimi like I did. Yeah, that's a big library. Holy crap! Sell that, sell it. You could probably make a fortune. But yeah, wow, it actually looks good. Is this supposed to be a movie?
It does look freaking amazing.
Yeah, it's a film. It's a film. I was about to say, like, yeah, I think this was a film, because that was looking pretty dang polished. Yeah, a little cute little kimono Mimi.
I mean, it looks like a cat girl. It could be a fox girl.
Yeah, it could be fox girl.
I mean, that tail does look a little bushy.
A little bushy. I mean, cats come in all sizes with the bushy tails. Come on. Some cats' tails are... Come on, we're doing this for science. We're doing it for science. We gotta figure this out. Yeah, I can go. That's definitely one of those ones that can go both ways. Anyways. That's cute, though. Yeah, I'm assuming it's gonna be one of those ones where, like, she doesn't
see
like
the
stories,
ears are hidden.
She's forced to have to consume it. All right. Cool stuff. Now, here's an interesting thing. I hate this, but I love it at the same time. There's like this new trend going on right now. I mean, it's been going on for a while now. We're not talking about anything new here. Of like companies forcing people to double dip. Like, I don't know if we talked about it on this podcast, but apparently Mushoku Tensei novel series is getting omnibuses.
Okay.
And
Makes
I'm
sense.
like, oh, I'll buy it. I have them all up there, but are they gonna fix the problems? Because like I bought all those up there, and I fully accept, like, even when 26 came out, and I was getting close to 26, and it was just coming out, the physical copy, and everybody was saying, Andrew, don't buy it. I have the ebook. That's the one they're printing, and this looks bad. There's a lot of errors in it. And yes, when I read through that version 1 of 26, there was so many like stupid mistakes made in it. Like I joked about, it's very easy to understand. Like there's this one scene where Rudius gets kicked down, and it says this person knocked them down, and I'm like, wait, that person's supposed to be way over on the other side of this country on the beach line. How did he teleport over here and knock down Rudius? They got the names wrong, and it was like, how do you get the names wrong that bad? So anyways, the whole point there was like, I so badly would love to have like a hardbound omnibus version of the entire Mushoku series. Yeah, I'll buy whatever. You keep printing that stuff out and you give a good product, I'll buy it. Hyper fan here. But do I want to buy it with all those mistakes? And I mean, even all the stuff that a lot of people have pointed out that has been either ripped out completely, like entire paragraphs that were removed or rewrote by one of the people that was working on it towards the later part, which apparently she did a lot of really stupid stuff with the story that people had pointed out to me as I was reading through it. It's like Seven Seas, you have to like listen to your fans. If you're gonna make a collector's edition that is gonna be very expensive in the end, like we're talking $400+ to buy that entire series again, hardbound. Are you going to do a proper job with it? Otherwise, I don't want to buy it. What's it going with this? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do want that. I just hope they fix it.
No, you just had to get your wording out so that Seven Seas hears you and properly fixes things before they send it to you.
I already did a whole video of it. And if they're not listening to that whole video that I talked about it, then I don't think they listened to me.
Anyway, double dipping and gunsmith cats.
But Dark Horse is doing this stuff too. Dark Horse Comics announced that they are going to be doing a Gunsmith Cats Burst sequel manga series in 2-volume omnibus edition, and the new edition is going to have translation and lettering retouched by Studio Cutie. I'm not sure if that's, I don't know who Cutie is, so people can tell me if that studio is good or not.
Does it need to be retouched?
Apparently, because they're saying that they want to do a retouching of it.
Okay.
The lettering and everything.
She has ray
I do
eyes.
know that like some of the older mangas that I've seen, yeah, like the placement of lettering and the font sometimes is like really crappy. So maybe they're redoing. Maybe that's what they're talking about. I'll take it. I'll take a Gunsmith Cat's Omnibus. Cause even Spice and Wolf's getting one too, Chris. These companies are hitting me in those little soft spots. Like, oh, now this one's actually a struggle. Cause yes, I do have the super duper collector's edition of Spice and Wolf, the light novel series, that I bought that massive tome. But do I want one for the mangas? Well, first I have to find out if this Spice, they're doing a Spice and Wolf collector's edition for the manga. And I think they're going to be putting 2 volumes per with that one as well. Yeah, 2 volumes per book. They say specifically combining 2 volumes into one in a beautifully bound book. Does that mean hardbound? Nothing in there says hardcover. That's the problem. I mean, I don't want a
Did
2.
you go to the order site?
Yeah, I checked all the pages they have for it, and none of them say hardbound specifically. They just say bound book. Now, bound can mean glued, right? Like your standard manga.
Yeah, $22.
Bound doesn't mean like it has to be bound like a hardbound, like, you know, like a string.
It says paperback right there.
Where?
Right there. It says paperback. Above the 22.
Well, that typically in these websites means paperback, and then there's ebook. Well, let's check it. We're gonna get down to the bottom of this. We're gonna investigate this live. Or do you have like a filtering section or something, a breakdown area?
Yeah, that's hardback. It says hardback right there. So.
Oh yeah.
But I was gonna say when I was looking at it, the pricing doesn't match a hardback.
That's true too. That's about $10 difference there. But this is a collection of 3 light novels versus 2 mangas, so. And technically 3 worths of light novel is like an equivalent of like $45. Obviously, Omnibus is gonna make it a little bit cheaper. I'm gonna guess that that's probably paperback, like you were saying with that listing. And if they can show like a finished good later on that shows hardbound, because again, I check like Amazon too, which typically will have like breakdowns and stuff like that. Like Amazon, somebody that used to work with product going to Amazon, they're very like, you have to fill out all these forms of information about your product before we'll post you. And they'll typically have a lot of that kind of listing stuff in there. Didn't see anything on Amazon. So I'm going to assume it's paper. And if it's paper, no, I'm good with these. I prefer to have singles. It's easier to read through rather than this massive thing. Like, I'm never going to sit down with that massive tome. I bought it for collector's reason. I'm not going to sit down with that massive tome of Spice and Wolf to read it. Even with, like, again, the only omnibus that I really do have is I think the Blamus are supposed to be omnibus technically. But I typically like them separate. I think I was going to get Pun Pun because I don't think you can buy them separately. So that was like you don't have a choice but to buy omnibus. That sucks. I wish that would have been hardbound. I'm gonna get the Gunsmith Cat one because I've never bought it. So even if it is paper, it's fine. But I don't have a reason to rebuy a paper, not hardbound Spice and Wolf manga again. So I'm glad we figured that out. I might send them a DM just in case, just to see if maybe, again, it might just be that they listed it paperback and it's not supposed to be listed paperback, and see if it's the case. Anything else that I want to cover? Let's do this last one real quickly too, so that we can get around to getting some questions done. I'm going to skip this other one because I thought you would find this extremely cute and adorable. We have the staff for Kaya-chan Isn't Scary released a new PV. And it looks super, super adorable. Not the greatest studio ever, so it doesn't look fantastic. But she looks cute. She looks cute. Kaya-chan is a notorious problem child in her kindergarten. but none of the adults know her secret till Chia-sensei is put in charge and learns of Kaya-chan's hidden ability to see evil spirits and vanquish them with a punch. What will happen when this 5-year-old who gets into trouble when she's only trying to help? You see where it's going? I was trying to time reading the synopsis so you get at least a little bit of a question mark there. No, when I seen this, I immediately thought of Miruko-chan. Did you watch much of Miruko-chan?
Yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, it gave me a lot of... Well, I mean, either Miruko-chan or Dark Gathering with that little lolly that kicks the undead's butts and ties them down in her bedroom so that they have to serve her or become sacrificial lambs for her fighting other ones. I thought it was cute. I thought you'd like that.
Yeah. I could totally get on board that one.
Well, you're excited to see a kick button lolly killing spirits, banishing them. No, I thought it was gonna be like one of those aspects where like she's just misunderstood and everybody think that she's some sort of like, you know, Sadako or whatever with like the hair. No, she's just beating him up. She's doing good. Let's go to our community. Again, at otakuspirit.com, you can go there for links to our community, our Discords. You can go there and join. There are also links there to support the channel. So if you like what you've seen so far and listened to, you can support us that way. But on our Discord, we have a little submit questions area where you can submit questions like these ladies and gentlemen have, in a lot of cases, poorly, and we will criticize them for it.
At least they're not answering questions anymore, are they?
I don't know. I think at some point Ira got so mad, he just deletes them whenever he sees him. So I don't ever see him. Clintomax says, jumping off the suggestion, which you're gonna make me read that other one just to get an idea. Well, we'll just read it. Jumping off this other suggestion, how would you feel about doing a Sacred Cow series, basically going back and watching older anime shows or movies that have been considered excellent to see if they still hold up as well as they once did? I mean, this is an idea, and this is to go with the whole discussion that we had about, older shows, retro shows, and we had a whole discussion on this. This actually sounds more fitting because there is a lot of cases where, again, like we were talking about earlier with Hozuki no Reitatsu, I think there's a lot of cases where when I think back to shows, I go, technically when I watched that show, Shimonetta, prime example. There's shows back in the past where I just didn't have, either the comedy just wasn't working for me at the time, because I think a comedy, whether a comedy hits you or not, has a lot to do with your environment, what you're going through, and what you're really kind of receptive of. If you don't feel like that humor, it is not going to receive. Like
Shimonetta would be an interesting to watch right now.
I mean, that was the point where I kind of feel like it would be a good rewatch right now, is because it's a whole idea of, censorship and all that kind of stuff. Everybody's claiming this is literally, it's playing out like it knew what was coming. It was happening back there. They weren't creating anything new, especially in Japan. There was a lot of stuff that was happening with their, censorship and whatnot. Anyways, that would be a good one, but that does play better to that whole question. Now, again, we're talking about really old stuff, which we've done in the past, and it was a lot to do with like reviews and stuff like that. Like we did Escaflowne, where I think I admitted when we did that review of that re-release, it was like, yeah, it's visually like super impressive, but it is dated. It is one of the stories that's kind of dated. And again, we technically did a lot of like the Gundam series all the way through, which again was a lot of review copies. I don't know. I think that's definitely an interesting thing to kind of do. And it kind of goes really well with, I don't know if I talked about it on the podcast here yet, but how, Miles, Glass Reflection, and Mother's Basement are doing a podcast together where they're Quest for the Best, I think is what the title of the podcast is. I watched a couple of those, and it's a really cool idea of like, they're trying to put together 100 top best anime ever. And so they're going through a lot of really old shows that are incredibly well received. But I think that kind of goes well with that, to sort of do a concept like that, not necessarily to try to make a top 100 list, which, let's be honest, probably in the end, they're not going to make that list. It's just a good idea for them to come together and watch really old classics. But I think that would be an interesting thing to kind of go back and go, okay, legitimately, let's watch Ghost in the Shell. is it really that great like we remember it? Akira, is it really as great as you remember it being? I think that would be kind of a fun thing to do. But again, I do like that more so because a lot of those older shows weren't very long. That's kind of the nice thing about those old ago. Again, that's like a one and done movie in a lot of cases, or there are OVAs that are 2 episodes long, you know, like a Gunsmith Cats or something like that, really quick. You can just there was a lot of OVAs back then. Very high budget, high quality, straight to DVD, straight to VHS. Sorry, I've got to go back further. Straight to VHS. DVD, what? Oh, I'm sorry, VHS. Beta.
Betamax.
Beta. Is Armitage as good as you think as you remember it being? Or here's the question: do you want that vision that it's perfection to be shattered? There is honestly a lot of really old shows where I don't want to rewatch it because I don't want to shatter
Armitage had
that
a lot
aspect.
Armitage had a lot of things as far as it was kind of a mix between the making you think about the rights of the androids and all that stuff, but it was only surface level. It stayed right up here at this. Kind of cool to think about, but we're not going to go digging too deep into it. And I think that that's something that a lot of those shows kind of did. They were all about the flashy, and that's all it did. I mean, Ghost in the Shell was technically a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, they were, like I said, they were very much so one and done kind of things.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there was tragedy, there was casualties to that, and the idea of like, again, technically, Battle Angel never finished the adaptation. Akira, technically, anime original, the ending. These stories did sort of get morphed a little bit, so they kind of fit in that story, which is why I got the whole Akira set in hopes of eventually reading the whole thing. Until Sunrise decides to finally adapt the damn thing. When was that announced?
Akira, when I stop and think about that one, it's like that one was just pure chaos. I mean, yeah, it looked cool, but I can't think of anything that it was really doing. Like, save the little children-looking people, and dude has a DNA
thing. Yeah. Dude starts like super morphing and crap, and
yeah,
he's got to go save him, and they start yelling at each other, Tetsuo! Anime Expo. When do you think they announced the remake of Akira?
Last year sometime, didn't they? Just before the end of the year?
Oh man, you're more kind than I am. 2019. It was announced at Anime Expo 2019.
Really?
Project is meant to complete adaptation of the post-apocalyptic cyberpunk manga Akira. So yeah, even back there they confirmed they were doing a full adaptation. Because yeah, apparently, I haven't really read it too much. You can kind of get a sense by looking at the side of the package that I have with that, the box set thing that opens up. Apparently, like it builds up to that point where he kind of like separates, and then like apparently, I think he creates like his own like society, like he builds like another city within the city, and so it's supposed to get like some weird like he literally makes a kingdom for himself and everything. And so apparently, the movie's just like, let's stop that. We'll put him on his throne and just take him out. Spoilers. Anyways, that's cool. That would, again, I think that'd be a cool thing. Again, that might come down just eventually whenever there's like a breathing space that I can kind of build. Let's see. Davlin says, I've noticed on YouTube shorts about people visiting the places from dangers to compare the anime to real life places. Is there an anime you would go visit the place it took place in? If so, which one and where would you visit? I would love to kind of, I think one of the, like we talked about this before with like, you know, places you'd want to go in Japan and whatnot.
You wouldn't want to go to Snake Way?
No, because you have to die. And then you have to get past, what's his face? The guy at the door. And
King Yami?
I don't think he'd let me past.
Is it King Yama? King Yami? Something like that.
I wouldn't be able to get past that dude. But I would really like to. When we ever talk about this, I always talk about how the fact that, like, yes, I would like to go to Akihabara and stuff like that in Tokyo. You know, the huge spots. But there's like a side of me that almost wants to, if I ever went there, to like break off from the otaku routes and really kind of break off and go to like the more northern regions, I would love to visit a lot of like rural areas and whatnot, which is probably a lot more difficult unless they actually have it built to, do tourism in those locations. Because in a lot of those situations, they just don't have tourism going in those locations because there's a lot of dying rural areas. But yeah, I would like to go to a rural area and really kind of see the culture, really dig into the culture, not just again see the big cities and shrines and the typicals. But I do want to see those too.
Yeah, I'd probably just stick with most of your shrines. The shrines are usually what I'm kind of more interested in. I think that they look just absolutely gorgeous. But no, I mean, Akihabara is probably, yeah, I'll go there.
You gotta hit each one of them. Whenever we talk about this, I always talk about how like when I do, I would want to get tied in with a tourism group just so they can help kind of guide and set up tickets and all that kind of stuff and kind of guide you to go to locations, when is best to go there and whatnot. But there is a large part of me that would want to pre-set up, like I don't want to rush. So I would want to have enough time kind of devoted to doing it so that I can kind of see everything without having to be like, all right, to the next bus, to the next bus, next bus. There is like a side of me that would want to like get a license there and just ride around. Do it like Eurocamp style. Get a little moped and just drive all around.
Drive around.
I wonder how difficult it is for a foreigner to get a license there. That's a good question. Yeah, get a moped and everything. Just ride everybody by myself. Because I see a lot of people doing like bike rides and stuff across there, and it sounds really cool. Anyways, that's dabbling. Thanks, dabbling. Did we answer the question?
I think so.
The whole thing is that, again, that I mentioned, a lot of people that do the backgrounds and stuff will go to locations where the show is technically set into, or they'll establish that this is setting, and they will take photographs of actual places and draw the backgrounds from that. So yes, you'll see a lot of people online that they love doing that. They love finding where the locations are they take pictures at. In a lot of other cases, yes, the people that actually do the backgrounds will release the art or the photos of the locations that they're actually doing the background art based off of. So yeah, they typically do. And it's kind of a cool thing for those that actually do want to go out and find it that aren't released beforehand, because it's kind of it seems like a really cool little treasure hunt. Or they can use Google Maps. They can just use Google Maps. Let's see. Smiley Pies says, how do you imagine the anime industry and the overall use of medium will look a decade or two from now? You talked about your fear that may become so popular globally that the industry might try to pander to the culture sensibilities or whatever country makes it the most money. We pretty much, talked that one to death earlier. I think literally the last 2 episodes ago, technically, at this point, we discussed the idea of like the growing trends of it and whatnot, and getting into the aspect of things like US not necessarily being the biggest threat to the anime industry and its sensibilities. It's typically going to be like more like Middle Eastern areas. It's going to be China, different locations like that. Places that have much more stricter controls upon like how women are depicted, violence itself is depicted. There's a lot of aspects of like taboos and whatnot that are not allowed. Certain locations do not allow the portrayal or the showing of decapitation, stuff like that. There's a lot of things that you just don't show. And so how I see it changing the market, I do believe that at some point, in regards to the whole sensibility thing, I do think at some point there is going to be, I don't necessarily think it's going to be too much of a problem for change, because I do think there's going to be an element where it's not really upon the producers of the anime series to really look into what is allowed or not allowed in every single region. And thus they're not going to change everything to fit every region. It'll be up to the local licensor to really figure out if the property would be allowed in their region or not, or if something would have to be modified in order for it to be shown, or would a scene just have to be cut out completely, stuff like that before it be allowed in a region. The only real big effect that will come is when a region is the biggest supplier of funding for the medium. So if if you're looking at the chart of how much money is coming into the anime industry, and again, like I've said several times before, over 50% of that currently is overseas distribution. It's licenses and whatnot. Now, I also try to remember to remind people that a big chunk of that 50% that is coming in from overseas rather than domestically is Demon Slayer. It is these massive shonen series that are making a lot of money in, mostly Demon Slayer, making a lot of money in the box office. It's Dragon Ball Z Super or whatever in the theaters. That's making a lot of money overseas distribution. It's not just the aspect of overall all licenses are now overcoming everything domestic. So we're not quite technically there yet where a specific region is making the anime industry more money per license than it's making domestically in Japan. When that happens, that's when I think things would actually change. And again, it would be most impactful when it comes to a region that is going to have the sensibilities. So, it's an easy example, so we're going to use it. Sorry for anybody that lives there, and sorry to the big dogs there. China. Say at some point this big pie that again shows how much the anime industry is making domestically. Let's say that other side of the pie reaches at least like 60% of the money coming in to Japan is China. One country, 60% of it is coming from specifically China. That's when things will change. Because then that's going to basically signal to producers in Japan, okay, the big dog, the one that's all the money's coming from is China. We need to make sure that our show is going to be profitable there. We're going to make sure that our show appeases them. We're going to make sure that our show is going to be appealing to them. And yes, that our show is going to be allowed to be shown to them. That's when changes happen. And again, like I said earlier, I don't think specifically that we're quite there yet, because the caveat that I had earlier, that massive chunk of the anime industry, money coming into the anime industry is, again, it's blockbusters like Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Mugen Train in theaters that was making hundreds of millions of dollars, I think it was making. So that's a big chunk of money versus, again, like I was mentioning earlier, them selling, an episode of a show for $100,000, $200,000. That millions, hundreds of millions, that's big. It's big money. Yeah. So I was talking to somebody earlier the other day. It was like the success of Danadon and comparison to Demon Slayer. And I'm like, I don't think people realize how big Demon Slayer is, and how big something like Soul Leveling was. These are again, that's why I say I so badly wish Crunchyroll would give the numbers. Right. Again, hopefully that whole fixed license versus like royalty is going to open that door up, because again, they're going to have to show the numbers. Currently, from what I understand, these studios don't know how much viewership they get of their shows on Crunchyroll. They could possibly put it in their license, or their agreements, but Crunchyroll probably says don't. Take that off of there and we'll sign it. They don't want these studios to know, because they don't want the producers specifically. I'm not talking studios. They don't want the producers, the license holders in Japan, to know how many viewerships their show's getting, because if they're getting a lot, they can ask for more. So Crunchyroll is it's beneficial to them to not tell them how much viewership they're getting.
I thought that they were going based on how many views they were getting.
I thought that too. That's a good point. I forgot about that. Talk about that.
Because that was the whole thing. I mean, the stupid thing is that they were going.
I think the way that they were wording it before was this idea that your sub is technically going to the people that make the show, and the idea that when you give them your sub per month, they're taking a portion of that, and that's going with the big pool of everybody else's subs towards licensing new shows. But I do agree with you that at some point we had it in our head, and it could have very well been that way early on. It could have been, and it could have just changed over time to a fixed fee. But we had it in our mind at some point that essentially per view that you were doing on the show, a part of your sub was going to that show. Which, yes, technically doesn't make sense. When they're going to them to buy a license, they're not going to go, well, per visit, we're going to give you, you know, 0.01 cents per visit, you know, of that show per episode. No, it's a fixed fee.
I just hate the fact that this is the entire thing is flipped backwards. I mean, the whole thing originally with Crunchyroll is they went hand in hand to these companies and they said, hey, rather than shut us down, why don't you let us go ahead and put these shows up here? We'll get a small fee from the consumer and we'll pass it on to you. And now the Crunchyroll is now dictating what shows are going to be made. That irritates the snot out of me.
Well, they're not dictating what shows get made. They're just saying you could make more money if you make something that's very successful.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're being the kingmaker.
Again, it's however you spin it. I fully understand that. That's like when I was doing my video covering that whole thing. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play two sides. I'm gonna play businessman Andrew. I like to get my businessman suit on and think. Let's think about this business wise. Yes, technically, Crunchyroll makes more money when the show is more successful. So it's beneficial to everybody if their show is very successful. So if they can entice them to make a really successful show, everybody wins in the end. But then there's the other side of me that looks at it and goes, the way that's worded, that sounds like we're going to pay you less, but you could make more if it's successful. And can you meet that threshold to make it successful? Anyways, how did I once again, we chased a rabbit hole and I don't even remember how I got there.
Well, this is technically one of those little wounds that's kind of irritating and it's festering right now.
It's going to keep festering. I'm glad I brought it up. That way Chris can be upset about it for the next 2 weeks.
I'm sorry. It's irritating. It really does irritate me. I don't like that. I don't like that they're doing that at all. I'm sorry. Everybody can hate me. They can go...
And again, they don't have to. They don't have to, Chris. Old Rahul.
I'm sorry. Yeah, y'all wanna bash all the little pirate flag waving people when technically we all supported you to get out of the whole pirate flag waving people, and now what? Now that you have control of everything, that's now you want to cause a fuss.
Who's fussing?
Starting to make kings. That's all it is.
They don't have to. They can stick with the fixed rates.
Maybe.
They're just saying you can.
You can.
Do you want to take that? Is Rahul Pini sliding up there and saying, think you got a good show? Would you want to take a gamble there? We'll give you 100,000 instead of 200,000 per episode. But if you can break, 100,000 views in a week, technically you might actually get more than 200,000 per episode. Do you want to take that gamble? Do you want to take that gamble?
Yeah, getting the gamble off of Rahul. He could have been making more money if he got the gamble in.
Yeah.
But
it's a shit. Yeah, he's literally like technically like soul leveling is literally their property. But it was like it's a thing where they contact Aniplex and he's like, man, if you guys didn't go with that fixed rate, you could be making a lot of money right now because soul leveling did really good. Mm-hmm. It's a shame, when we come back to that second season, third season. You guys might want to go ahead and switch over to that royalty service. You're like, okay, let's do that. At the end of the season, yeah, you guys got us like 2 million views per episode, but just not quite enough to get over that threshold. So, I mean, next time, they end up paying less for it. So that's like I said. I'm convinced the min's going to probably be less than a typical fixed rate. It's just going to be like, again, what's that threshold? Like, how many views do they have to get to technically make more in that long run?
Yeah.
That's the question mark. We're getting back in that whole discussion again. We're getting back to that whole discussion. The smiley pies. We might just go ahead and keep that question for another time because that's a whole. I mean, I pretty much answered the question. Again, it's going to be based on the fact that when a location that does have restrictions makes them more money than they make domestically or anywhere else combined, it will start to form around the sensibilities of a specific country. And until then, they're probably not going to dance around that stuff too much because you got to take into consideration a lot of these companies and producers that are making anime, they're not going to know the restrictions and regulations and sensitivities of every single country that it goes to. They're only going to know the moment that it affects their bottom dollar. And it really is probably going to come down to an idea where a property is super successful in a region that has sensibilities and they want to get in that market, and they're going to have to learn very quickly. So I don't think really anything's changing yet. Like I've told people several times before, a lot of the big changes that has been made to a lot of shows, like take for example Ranma 1/2, a lot of that stuff is local. Like a lot of that stuff is just because their culture has changed too. Yes, you can make the argument that it is overseas sensibilities that have sort of festered into Japan market that's changed them, but this is something that over a long period of time has been technically changing for Japan too. A lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of anime back in the day used to be straight to OVA, like straight to disc, and they didn't have to worry about it being sensitive to TV. But now everything's on Japanese television, and thus it has to kind of fall in those guidelines.
Japan is one of the most westernized countries over there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, next to the only one that's probably pretty close behind it is probably Korea. I mean, a lot of them are very westernized.
See. Anyways, if anything didn't get answered in that question, you can send it again, smileys. But I think that's pretty much the answer you're looking for. I think that's the answer you're looking for. But anyways, that's it for this podcast episode. A fun little podcast episode. I think we had some good discussion this one time, Chris.
You think so?
It's mostly Chris whining about they can't play video games.
Yes.
I want to play video
I want to play
games.
more video games.
I started playing Stellar Blade. Not liking the combat so far. It's like I don't know if that's one of those ones where maybe as you play you get new abilities that makes it feel better, but it just doesn't feel good. Like the dodge and parry just doesn't feel good. A game like that I have to have some good feeling dodge. It looks good. Stellar Blade looks good.
Does it? Mm-hmm. It doesn't look bad.
She looks good.
She looks
She looks good.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Overall, the overall game looks fine, but yeah, she looks good. I don't know. When I was playing, I'm like, I just need to get back to Nier. I really need to get back to playing Nier. So I started playing Nier again.
Oh, so it looks so good that you went to another game.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because Nier, I would assume, I haven't heard anything mind-blowing about the story of Stellar Blade, but I do know that Nier is an incredible story, and it plays better, so I'm going to stick with Nier.
So one game looks good, and the other game has a better story. So you chose that.
Stellar Blade, the model of the character looks much better. The design of the Nier characters look phenomenally better, but the graphics are they're getting dated, let's be honest.
Okay.
But the game and story of Nier is better. So Stellar Blade only has one up, and that's the character model itself looks much more high detailed and good.
Gotcha.
Assets.
Mm-hmm.
The assets are much more detailed in Stellar Blade. I just need to see if there's some good mods for Nier that like super update the visual. I don't think there is though.
Probably is. If
you can make the characters game, from Nier in Stellar Blade.
If it's a moddable game and people have like it enough, there's a million mods. It probably has definitely gone into the adult section, and there's a million mods for that.
Well, I might want to actually play it on stream, so I don't want to put a bunch of adult stuff in there. It's playable elsewhere. Anyways, again, we appreciate you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this discussional podcast episode. As usual, again, we're at otakuspirit.com. It's where all of our links are. Social media links, ways to get a hold of us, ways to support us, all that good stuff. We greatly appreciate it. Support the channel. But until next week, which again should be our preview, y'all take care.
Os.